Okay. Investment Sukuk Rules. It has been issued by Bangladesh Securities and Exchange Commission, the capital market regulatory authority in Bangladesh. And this rule has been named as BSEC Investment Sukuk Rules 2019. So if you face an interview and you say that you have taken the Islamic Finance and Banking course, you might be asked that whether you are aware of these rules issued by the BSEC. In that case, you should say that you have some knowledge on this. Okay. So this will be applicable for all types of investment sukuk which will be issued in compliance with the Shari'ah. And this that you are in compliance with the Shari'ah that you are claiming, this claim should be approved by the Shari'ah Supervisory Board. The Shari'ah Supervisory Board can be either privately placed or it can be, the sukuk, it can be privately placed or it can be publicly offered. You have probably come to learn about the private placement and the public issue. Similarly, sukuk as a capital market security, long-term security, it can be privately placed or it can be publicly offered. And it can be issued by issuer to any investor and for matters connected therewith and incidental thereto. And we'll talk about it in detail, that for what purposes or who are the issuer who will be working for issuance of this security. And these rules shall also be applicable for the appointment and selection of parties involved in the issuance of investment sukuk. So when you will be issuing sukuk, you will have to appoint a number of parties who will be working for different purposes, and how you will appoint them should be guided by these rules. Okay. And you probably can recall that when we issue sukuk, we have to employ or we have to appoint a special purpose vehicle or SPV or institution which will be issuing the sukuk security on behalf of the originator of the sukuk. So these rules is not a kind of the independent rules. You have to read out these rules in compliance with other applicable rules which have been issued by the Securities and Exchange Commission for offering securities, registration of intermediaries, trading of securities, and for matters connected therewith and incidental thereto. Let me take you, or let me give you one example. There is a public issue rules 2006 issued by Bangladesh Securities and Exchange Commission, that how you issue securities to the public. So you see that when you issue sukuk to the public, along with this document, you have to look for that document, Public Issue Rules 2006. I do not know whether that this 2006 has been updated later, but you'll see that number of guidance have been provided there for the public issue, that how can you issue the securities to the public and what will be the specification, what can you do, what you cannot do, these things. So these things have to be complied with the understanding of this document. So there are some definitions, and these definitions, most of the definitions should be familiar with you, as we have discussed on sukuk in one of the classes. So instead of spending time on understanding the definition, it is your homework that you will look for the definition. And you will also look for the chapter 2, that who have been given the responsibility of for looking after the governance and who will be the responsible for overall governance of the sukuk issuance. We like to talk about in this chapter eligibility and requirements for issue of investment sukuk. The chapter 3, we like to discuss on this chapter. and I like to encourage you to look at other chapters at your own responsibility, and this should be covered. Okay. So first point here out of the eligibility and requirement for issue of investment sukuk. What are the conditions you have to fulfill if you want to issue investment sukuk in Bangladesh? So an issuer that intends to issue sukuk shall fulfill the following conditions. So an investment sukuk shall be constituted in the form of a trust as a special purpose vehicle under the Trust Act 1882. So we have a Trust Act 1882. Based on this Trust Act, you have to create a special purpose vehicle. Who are you? You are the originator. So you are the originator of the sukuk. You are originator because ultimately you will use the proceeds for the sukuk, and you are planning to raise financing through sukuk. So you have to create a trust institution. Here we are saying that this is a special purpose vehicle. So what is the main purpose of this trust? The main purpose of this trust is to protect the interest of the sukuk holders, the primary purpose. But what are the secondary purpose? The secondary purpose of this trust, which we are saying as a special purpose vehicle, is to create a connection, is to create a linkage between the sukuk originator and the sukuk holders. Okay. So what you need to do, very specific, before registration of the trust as an SPV, the draft trust deed shall be approved by the commission. So you are creating a deed, you are creating a trust, you are creating SPV, you are the originator, you have mentioned some conditions, you have mentioned some functions, responsibilities, and how this trust has been formed, is planning to be formed. And that document, that deed, is to be approved by the commission. Who is the commission here? BSEC, Bangladesh Securities Exchange and Exchange Commission. And the originator has appointed an issue advisor and appointed a Shari'ah supervisory board. You see, in addition to forming a trust as an SPV, the originator of the sukuk needs to appoint a issue advisor and Shari'ah supervisory board. These are two separate entities. You probably have come to learn about the function of the issue advisor in your investment banking course. Have you taken this course, investment banking, or the financial markets and institution? Have you taken any of these courses?
Yes, sir. FMI is actually.
Yeah, in that
market and institution, sir. Sir.
Yeah, in that particular course, you should learn, you are supposed to learn about the issue advising task or the investment bank function, whose the primary function is to advise the issue, and what is their main task. Have you learned about this issue advisor? The primary function of the investment bank. Have you learned about this function?
Should be, sir. Actually, summary I can remember, but should be there. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. The draft structure of the investment sukuk, along with the relevant legal dates, shall be authenticated by the Shari'ah Supervisory Board based on the provisional Shari'ah pronouncement. Here, the draft structure of the investment sukuk. How many documents we are saying about it? Try to understand. The investment sukuk, for this you have created a draft structure that how the securities will be issued and what amount and expected will be raised and for what purposes it will be used. These things will be mentioned in the draft structure. Say it will be kind of ijara shukuk, or it is a kind of istisna shukuk, or it is a salam shukuk. These things will be enumerated in this draft structure. In addition to this, you have some legal documents all these documents shall be authenticated by the Shari'ah Supervisory Board, which has been appointed by you. You see, you have appointed a Shari'ah Supervisory Board. So that Shari'ah Supervisory Board should approve this and make a provision based on the provisional Shari'ah pronouncement. So have you seen the document in the document issued by the auditors in the auditor's report and the financial statement section in the annual report? Have you seen the auditor's report? Anyone? Have you seen the auditor's report in the annual report?
Yes, sir.
So you see that their auditor makes some pronouncement. So here, the Shari'ah Supervisory Board will make a pronouncement that how they have authenticated this draft structure. So I'll show you a structure that how they should declare this. Then the requirements for filling of application for issuance of Sukuk shall comply the process outlined in the Rule 10 of these rules. And how you will apply for the issuance of Sukuk, it has been explained in detail in the Rule 10 of these rules. Okay, you see which is the Rule 10, how you will submit the application. This has been explained detail here. So let me take you to some part. Okay, this one, requirements for filing application for public offer of Sukuk. So when you will be issuing Sukuk, you should meet some requirements in the following rules in case of submitting applications to the commission. Again, the commission is BSEC. So in case of investment Sukuk, which is structured as an asset-backed securities, the issuer of originator as appropriate shall fulfill the requirement of these rules and the relevant requirements of the Securities Exchange Commission asset-backed security issued guidelines 2004 if the issue is placed under private placement or public offer. Let me summarize what has been said. There is a separate rules, separate guidelines. It is with respect to the asset-backed security. You have to fulfill the requirement of the rules mentioned here. So if you search for asset-backed security issuance guideline, BSEC, let me take you, say, asset-backed securities BSEC guidelines, Bangladesh, you will find this document, which has been referred here. You see the asset-backed securities, you see, okay, let me take you this. Okay, Securities Exchange Commission asset-backed securities guidelines 2004. Okay, so why I am opening this, because has it been downloaded? Let me take it. Yeah, should be this one. Yeah, you see what has been said in that point. It has been said that what has been explained with respect to how you issue securities which are backed by some asset. So what kind of asset? Which will provide some future cash flows based on some underlying asset. And you have to follow these rules if you are issuing asset-backed securities and you are planning to issue the securities to the private. Note it, private placement or the public offer. So you see that, can you recall that we talked about the asset-backed security and asset-based Sukuk and asset-backed Sukuk? Can you recall that I asked you to explore this by yourself?
Yes, sir. Recall the class. Yes, sir.
Okay. So in case of investment Sukuk, which is structured as other than asset-backed securities. So you see, if it is not asset-backed, what is the alternative? Asset-based. So when it is asset-based securities, in that case, the investor is solely relying on the credit worthiness of the issuer, and investor is not getting the proportionate ownership in the underlying asset because there is no underlying asset, but investor has proportionate ownership in the underlying financial structure, and the issuer will take the money or take the proceeds from the investors and use the proceeds to purchase the asset, and then out of the cash flow which will be generated from the purchased asset, it will be distributed to the Sukuk holders. Say for example, Ijara Sukuk. In case of Ijara Sukuk, you are familiar with the basic concept of Ijara or lease. Say the issuer has issued some Ijara Sukuk and raised money from the Ijara Sukuk investors, and issuer will give the proceeds to the originator, and originator say it is based on some what should I say, it is based on house financing. So originator of the Sukuk has purchased or has developed a residential project based on that proceed which has been collected through Ijara Sukuk. And out of those assets, there will be a monthly cash flow, and that monthly cash flow will be transferred to the SPV, who is the issuer, and the issuer will distribute the cash flows to the Ijara Sukuk holders. So you see that when the issuer has applied for the Ijara Sukuk, they have relied on the credit worthiness of the originator, because there was no asset in place, there was no home in place, or there was no residential facilities in place. The residential facilities was developed later by taking the proceeds from the Sukuk investors. Okay, but in case of asset-backed, in case of asset-backed security, in that case, there will be already asset in exist. But in case of asset-based securities, it is asset-based. In that case, there will be no existing asset which are the underlying of the Sukuk securities. Okay, so you see what has been said here. In case of investment Sukuk, if it is structured as other than asset-backed securities, I mean it is the asset-based security. In that case, it is to be issued under private placement basis. I mean, if these conditions are followed, in that case, the issuer or originator shall fulfill the requirement of these rules and the relevant requirements of the Bangladesh Securities and Exchange Commission private placement of debt securities rule 2012. So what has been said? If the Sukuk security is asset-based security, there is another type of Sukuk security other than asset-backed and asset-based. Okay, you should look at that part also. So if let me take you the example that if it is the asset-based security, it is not asset-backed security, and you are planning to issue the security under private placement, in that case, with which rule you have to comply? You have to comply with the requirements of the Bangladesh Securities Exchange Commission, Private Placement of Debt Securities Rule 2012. Okay. So in case of investment sukuk, which is structured as other than asset-backed security and to be issued through public offer, so you see, similar point, other than asset-backed security. If it is asset-backed security, in that case, this point is applicable. But if it is not asset-backed, other than asset-backed, in that case, if it is the privately placed, in that case, you have to follow this. But if it is publicly placed, you want to plan to issue it publicly, you have to follow this. Bangladesh Securities Exchange Commission Public Issue Rules 2015. Can you recall a couple of minutes ago, I was saying the Public Issue Rules 2006? Public Issue Rules 2006 no longer exist now. From here, you see that Public Issue Rules have been updated to 2015. Now you have to comply with the Public Issue Rules 2015. So from here, you see 3 points. You need to understand what has been said here, what you need to follow, for what purposes? For filing application for public offer of sukuk. Okay. So if the question is, what are the requirements you need to fulfill for public offer of sukuk, you just have to think of these 3 points and there is no other point. Okay. But it is with respect to what are the requirements you have to follow in the application. But there is here we see with respect to prospectus. The prospectus or offer document for issuance of investment sukuk shall fulfill the requirements of Schedule B of the rules and the rules concerned as mentioned in the subclause 1 above. What has been said. It is with respect to which guidelines or which rules will be applicable for you. And the point 2 is applicable which things your prospectus should contain. I'll show you the Schedule B. So provided that in case of issuance of sukuk, provision of any non-Sharia based requirements or the requirements in the referred rules as mentioned in clauses A, B, C of sub-rule 1 on which the Sharia Supervisory Board has differences in opinion on Sharia ground or does not match with the structure of the sukuk shall not be binding for the issuer to incorporate in the prospectus. So it has been said that if there is anything in the clauses, this clauses, which on which the Sharia Supervisory Board has differing opinion, in that case, you are not bound to follow that. Okay, let me take you to the Schedule B to look at what are the components you have to include in the investment sukuk prospectus. Okay, it is the Schedule A. This is the Sharia pronouncement. Can you recall that I mentioned that this word, the Sharia pronouncement, which shall be given by the Sharia Supervisory Board? Okay, fine. Schedule B. What I said, what are the contents to be included in the prospectus or the offering document? You know that investment banker, when they issue the security, they have to provide the investors with the prospectus. Okay. So let me take you, this are mostly familiar contents with you if you have already completed the financial markets institution or investment banking course. Okay. Brief of the SPV, originator, trustee, issue advisor, and other organs of the sukuk issuance. Can I recall that I showed you the document for Bexim Koistisna Sukuk, the prospectus? Can you recall?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
that document is of 400 pages, if I'm not wrong. Let me open it for you again. Probably this one. No. It is about the Bangladesh Bank, Bangladesh government Sukuk. Yeah, this one. No, it is the summary document. It is not the main document. Sukuk prospectus, investment Sukuk rules. Okay, it is somewhere, but you can look at the summary document also, that what are the contents. Okay. So you see, they have talked about the issuer, they have mentioned about the originator, they have mentioned about the beneficiaries, trustee, issue managers, but in the main document, you'll see the details. Okay, that has been said here. Issue date, size of the issue, type of sukuk. These are the some basic things which need to be covered. Final Shari'ah pronouncement as part of the annexure. Okay. So who has given this Shari'ah pronouncement? The Shari'ah Supervisory Board. It has to be annexed in the Shari'ah Supervisory Board. Sorry, it has to be annexed in the prospectus, which has been given by the Shari'ah Supervisory Board. Okay, let me show you that what is the structure, that how the Shari'ah Supervisory Board will pronounce. Okay, you see that this is the structure. We have reviewed the principles and contracts relating to the transactions and applications related to the sukuk to be issued. We have also conducted our review to form a provision final opinion as to what is the purpose, whether the structure of SPV has complied with the Sharia rules and principles, as well as the specific fatwa ruling and guideline issued by us. Okay, so what they have done, they have made a clearance, they have given a clearance, and they have provided a signature. Okay, so it is the pronouncement example given by the Sharia Supervisory Board for giving the approval that the structure, how you have created the SPV, is okay. There is no objection, that this is the pronouncement. Okay, about which we discussed in this part. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, in this part. You see that I have highlighted this. Okay, fine. Next, naming of the investment sukuk. How you will name the investment sukuk? You see that what is the name of the investment sukuk issued by the BSEC? BSEC Green Sukuk Al Istisna of BDT 30 million. So the name of their sukuk is BSEC Green Sukuk Al Istisna. I'm referring this one name, BSEC Green Sukuk Al Istisna. You see, what are the things here? BSEC is the name of the originator. Green Sukuk, green is the adjective, but in terms of Sharia, you see that Sukuk al Istisna. What does it indicate? It indicates that this sukuk has been structured based on istisna mode of financing. Is it true? That's why they have included this istisna here. That has been said here, you see. Where an investment sukuk is structured based on single Sharia concept. You see, that single Sharia concept is istisna. The sukuk shall be named according to that Sharia concept. That is why the istisna is there. Where the sukuk are structured using multiple Sharia concept. Say in that sukuk you have both istisna, and you also have included the musharaka concept. In that case, your name should reflect not the both or multiple concept. Rather, you have to find out which concept is the main concept. Your name should reflect that prime concept. However, the application of multiple Sharia compliant transaction types shall be disclosed in the principal terms and conditions of the sukuk. So what has been said, when you are explaining in detail the conditions terms, you have to explain what are the Sharia concepts which will be applicable for the mode of the structure you are forming for the investment sukuk. So let me take you to the prospectus. Okay, this one issued by the Bangladesh government. What is the name here? Ijara Sukuk. Yeah. I see whether they have mentioned the, yeah, no. They have just mentioned that their sukuk is ijara based, and nothing more. I do not see the full name of their sukuk. The Bangladesh, probably Bangladesh government, ijara, it is not Bangladesh government, it is probably in this way, safe water something. Let me take of this project. They financed, but it is mainly ijara sukuk, but I do not see that what is the total name. Okay. Okay, next one. Sharia Supervisory Board and the Sharia pronouncement. The originator shall initially form for every sukuk issuance a Sharia Supervisory Board as an independent body from the originator. It is huge criteria. The Sharia Supervisory Board which you will be formed, that should be independent from you. So that should be a separate body, not in terms of the physical structure, also based on how they are providing pronouncement, how they are following the Sharia guidance. They should have independent understanding. They should have an independent opinion. Okay. Next, the originator shall, before the issue of sukuk, obtain provisional Sharia pronouncement before structuring the sukuk and final Sharia pronouncement before issuance of prospectus from the Sharia Supervisory Board. Okay. So you probably can recall that I showed you that how they will issue the pronouncement. It has been given in the section A. Sorry, not section, the schedule A. And the Sharia pronouncement must be signed by each Sharia advisor, ascertaining that the basis on which the sukuk are structured is Sharia compliant. This is a huge document, a huge requirement. Okay. Each Sharia advisor, say if your Sharia Supervisory Board consists of 5 members, each of them should sign on the document, okay, individually. The Sharia pronouncement must contain at least such information and certification and in the form of manner as notified by the commission from time to time, including at least the following: sukuk structure, sukuk contents document, these things, okay. So the pronouncement document should include these things, okay. But the structure has been given in the Schedule A, and they also explain under this point, okay. It is not necessary the Sharia Supervisory Board member will continue their engagement, with the Sharia Supervisory Board up to the tenure of the sukuk. It is the tenure, but it is actually indicating which period. Let me take you to this part. Okay, it is the Beksimko sukuk. What is the tenure of the Beksimko sukuk? 5 years, right? 60 months from the issuance date. So it is not necessary that each of the Sharia Supervisory Board member will continue their engagement with the Sharia Supervisory Board up to these 5 years. It can be changed. They can remain engaged for less number of periods or less number of years. Okay. So the issuer or originator, So these are separate authority. Think of the issuer or originator. Again, I like to remind you who is the issuer of BSEC, Green, Investment Sukuk, and who is the originator. You see, the originator is the BSEC Limited, and the issuer is the BSEC Green Sukuk Trust. Have I mentioned about the trust that they should form a SPV under the trust deed? Okay, so this one is the BSEC Green Sukuk Trust is the issuer, and they are separate. Okay, they are not. The or is a misleading connector here. Or is misleading, but in terms of what has been said here, anyone can furnish this contents. What is about shall ensure that all relevant documents, contracts, detailed information required by the Shari'ah advisor for understanding of the transaction, concept, structure, etc., for framing or review of the Shari'ah pronouncement, and also ensure that proposed utilization plan of the Sukuk proceeds are provided and adequately explained to the Shari'ah advisor and other members of the SSB. Let me summarize you. Shari'ah Supervisory Board needs a number of information for giving their opinion. So that information can be provided either by the issuer, say BSEC Limited, BSEC Green Investment Sukuk Trust, this one Green Sukuk Trust, or this information can be provided by the originator. For this purpose, that's why they have used the or term, but they are a separate body. Okay, you see, who will be accountable for the Shari'ah pronouncement? The SSB, not the originator. The Shari'ah Supervisory Board shall be held accountable for due care with regard to its Shari'ah pronouncement, reports, and other responsibilities as per these rules to the Commission. So they will be responsible to the Commission. They will be responsible to the Sukuk holders. They will be responsible to the originator of the issuer. With regard to what? With regard to the Shari'ah pronouncement, Shari'ah supervisory report, and other responsibilities which have been given to the Shari'ah Supervisory Board. Okay, and also the Central Shari'ah Board, if formed by the Commission, what does it indicate? It indicates that Bangladesh Securities and Exchange Commission does not have any Central Shari'ah Board till to this date. So the Central Shari'ah Board of Islamic Banks in Bangladesh, the authority with which I made you familiar in the previous class, it is the authority developed by the Bangladesh Bank, not by the Bangladesh Securities and Exchange Commission. Okay. So the Commission may take opinion about the Shari'ah pronouncement from any national body or recognized body supervising or educating the Shari'ah principles or Shari'ah education, and may send for further review of opinion. Okay. So what is actually the Shari'ah pronouncement? Up to this, can anyone tell me what we are indicating by the Shari'ah pronouncement? Shari'ah pronouncement actually indicate what? Can anyone please speak out? What is your understanding? I have highlighted. You see their conclusion. In our opinion, after all the reviews, the contracts, transactions, assets, dealings entered into by the proposed SPV or SPV related to the Sukuk are in compliance with the Shari'ah principle. This has been said as the Shari'ah pronouncement. Am I clear? That they have made a final opinion after reviewing all the documents, all the deeds, all the structures of the SPV and the Sukuk securities. Have you got it? What is meant by the Shari'ah pronouncement?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So let's continue to the remaining parts. Here. Okay, number 7. What is about eligibility of member or of SSB. So it is mostly similar to what we learned regarding the qualifications or criteria, eligibility criteria to be appointed as the member of Sharia Supervisory Board. The Sharia scholar must have a Daurae Hadith, Takmil or Kamil or postgraduate degree in Islamic studies, fiqh or Islamic law or Islamic jurisprudence with profound knowledge in Arabic language. So we talked about this kind of criteria when we talked about the eligibility criteria in the Islamic banking guideline provided by the Bangladesh Bank. Provided that Sharia scholar having PhD or MPhil or Takassus or higher specialized degree in fiqh or Islamic jurisprudence or Islamic economics or Islamic banking shall be a preferable qualification to be an advisor. So the first paragraph indicates the primary requirement, and the secondary requirement has been explained in the second paragraph. Sharia advisor must have actually in the legal document shall is more a stronger word than the must. Okay, shall actually indicates the must, but they have mentioned here must have 5 years of professional experience as a member or faculty of any reputed Darul Ifta. So this Darul Ifta is actually the fatwa issuance body which have profound knowledge in the rulings given in Sharia, or Department of Islamic Studies or Department of Islamic Law or Fatwa Board or Sharia Board in giving or teaching Sharia rulings or fatwa on Islamic commercial issues or Islamic law or Islamic finance or related areas or financial matters. In this part, they should have at least 5 years professional experience. I'm afraid that the Sharia advisor who have been appointed, they have this kind of 5 years professional experience. Sometimes I'm afraid that they fulfill this requirement. So it is also be your interest that you check that the Sharia Supervisory Board, which has been formed by the originator of the Sukuk, say Bangladesh Bank, which is working as the special purpose vehicle to issue the Bangladesh government Sukuk, and also the Beximco Istisna Sukuk Trust, the SPB, which is from the Sharia Supervisory Board. Their members have 5 years of professional experience and this kind of knowledge criteria they have fulfilled. So I'm not saying that I am confident, but please explore that they have fulfilled. So if they have not fulfilled, you can understand that there is a divergence in the practice and the requirement in the rules. Okay. Other than the Sharia advisor in the Sharia Supervisory Board, at least one member shall be selected from each of the field of law and financial industry as member of SSB. So it has been said, not necessarily Sharia Supervisory Board will consist of all the members who have fulfilled this criteria. At least one member should be taken who have knowledge in the field of law and financial industry, which is the conventional law, conventional financial industry. Okay. So you see that you can understand that why they have added this. Okay. Because they need to know what is happening or what is the requirement in the law, conventional law and the conventional finance industry, how they are playing. All members of Sharia Supervisory Board must be a person of integrity and sound track record in social, economic, and financial dealings, and shall not be convicted for any offense arising from the criminal proceedings. We talked about this kind of things in the Islamic banking guideline provided by the Bangladesh Bank with respect to the Sharia Supervisory Board. Okay, appointment and independence of trustee. Who is the trustee? Who is trustee? Can you recall? In the Shukuks, originator is the trustee, or the issuer is the trustee, or the advisor is the trustee? Who is the
Sir,
trustee?
originator can appoint trustee.
Originator appoint trustee. So who issues securities?
BSEC, Green Sukuk Trust.
BSEC Green Sukuk. So we are talking about this as a trust, BSEC Green Sukuk. Okay. In case of Bangladesh government security, who is the issuer? Let me take you.
Government.
No, government, not necessarily government. Let me take you. It is the Bangladesh Bank. You see, SPB, issuer, and the lessor, they have made it very clear. You see, who is the authority? Is it the government? When you are saying government, you are indicating a very big thing, but you need to be very specific. Who is the issuer or SPB in case of Bangladesh government Sukuk securities?
Yes, sir. Here we can see Bangladesh Bank.
Okay, fine. Now, who is the originator? You see the originator?
Yes, sir. Ministry of Finance.
Minister of Finance on behalf of the Bangladesh government. Okay. Now, it is with respect to appointment and independence of trustee. Can you recall that we mentioned that the trustee should be an independent, and we also mentioned about what is the primary purpose of the trustee. The originator shall appoint a trustee. Understand this very clearly. Who is appointing? It is not the Sukuk holder. It is not the Securities and Exchange Commission. The trustee shall be appointed by the originator for each investment Sukuk. Who is the trustee of a debt security registered under Rule 9 of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Private Placement of Debt Securities Rule 2012. So the rule, the Investment Sukuk Rules 2019 has identified the Sukuk security as equity security or debt security. They have identified it as a debt security. But remember, the Sukuk security has feature of both equity and debt. Am I clear?
Yes,
so,
sir.
Sukuk security has some component from equity, some characteristics similar to debt. It is not fully debt security in practice, okay? And also by its structure. But law has identified it as a debt security, okay? Now, the trustee shall be, okay, it's not the trustee. Yeah, the originator will appoint a trustee under this rule 2012 private placement of debt security, and that should be eligible to function as trustee of all investment Sukuk except for Sukuk issued as asset-backed securities under the Securities and Exchange Commission asset based guidelines 2004. So it has been said that when you are issuing trustee for the investment Sukuk under these rules, that shall be eligible to function as trustee for all investment Sukuk except for Sukuk issued as asset-backed securities. So in case of asset-based securities, it is okay. So what has been said with respect to other thing for investment sukuk, which is issued as asset-backed securities, this one asset-backed securities, the originator shall appoint such a trustee who is registered under the Securities and Exchange Commission asset-based security issue guidelines 2004. Okay, so you see that for securities, sukuk securities other than asset-backed, you are appointing trustee. But if it is asset-backed, which has been here, it is exception. Except you see the asset-backed securities has been made exception here. But what has been said about the asset-backed securities here? The originator shall appoint such a trustee who is registered under the Securities and Exchange Commission guidelines 2004. So you see there are two things. The trustee who will be a trustee for asset-based securities, note that trustee appointment shall be guided by this one, private placement of debt securities rule 2012. But if it is the asset-based securities, asset-backed, which has been made exception, if it is asset-based, in that case, it shall be applicable for appointing trustee, or trustee should be registered under this. But if it is the asset-backed securities, in that case, the originator shall appoint such a trustee who is registered under the Securities and Exchange Commission asset-backed security issue guidelines 2004. So just in which case, which guidelines will be applicable? That has been the point here. Okay, in 1 and 2. The originator shall perform a due diligence of the trustee before appointment, duly considering the following: understanding and demonstrable compliance with the Shari'ah principles and rules, independence and objectivity, non-affiliation or connected person with the originator in any form. This is huge requirement, that in any case you have no linkage with the originator. And the credit worthiness and the financial stability, the SPV should have sound credentials in its role. The Board of Trustee, as approved by the Commission, shall carry out the role of trustee outlined in the respective rules. So respective rules means these rules, and the rules which has been indicated here. And you see, the trustee appointed under these rules shall perform the roles outlined in these rules, roles suggested by SSB, and the respective rules for its registration. You see, this is the case in which the originator will fail. This is the main purpose, that why the SPV is a separate entity from the originator. SPV or the Board of Trustee has the right to take control over the sukuk assets in case of any default or non-compliance of the issuer or the originator or any other related party to the management of sukuk, and also shall take decision to liquidate the sukuk asset if required in favor of the sukuk holders with due approval of the Commission. You see, this is the main, one of the primary tasks of the SPV or the Board of Trustee. So they should have a strong position. They should have a superior authority over the originator. Okay. The SPV and the sukuk asset, the trustee with due existence of the originators needed shall ensure that. Okay. You see that here we are saying that what are the roles they will perform? Who? The trustee. And the roles have been explained in this section, in this point, point 9. The trustee with due existence of the originator as needed shall ensure. What are the roles? You see, I'll just mention 2 or 3. Okay, first thing, Sukuk assets are transferred to the SPV. It cannot be, the ownership cannot be in the hand of the originator. It should be in the hand of SPV in a manner where such transfer is absolute. Absolute means there is no place for the originator. Originator has absolutely transferred the ownership to the SPV, and it is a legal impediment for the originator that they transferred the title to the SPV or its creditor to have any legal rights over such asset, including in the event of bankruptcy of the originator. All rights and obligations related to Sukuk assets shall be legally or beneficially transferred to the SPV in line with the Sharia principles and rules. So when you are taking the ownership, you should claim the rights. You have to incur obligations with respect to Sukuk asset. It comes with the ownership. That's why you will be responsible for this, or you will enjoy the rights. The originator of the Sukuk shall neither have effective control on the management of the SPV, nor shall maintain direct or indirect stake in the SPV. Provided that such restriction clause does not prevail on the project or venture where SPV has invested based on any Sharia concept. So you see that originator cannot have any effective control. So what does it indicate? That say Bangladesh Bank is the trustee or SPV in the Bangladesh government Ijara Sukuk. In that case, Ministry of Finance cannot have any effective control on the management of the assets by the Bangladesh Bank. Okay, and the originator cannot have any direct stake on it, on the assets. Okay, so this is the way that how we have learned the chapter 3, and chapter 4 is some miscellaneous things, and chapter 5 includes the schedules. It's not the chapter 5. The schedules are here. The Sharia pronouncement, the first schedule. The second schedule is the contents which will be included in the Sharia, the offer document or the prospectus. So this is all about what we like to know about what has been enumerated in the Investment Sukuk Rules 2009 issued by Bangladesh Securities and Exchange Commission.